Hey, this is Steve in Dallas, Texas. It's Saturday morning, my friend, and you are listening to Light Talk.
And this is Ellen coming to you from the beautiful island of St. Bart's, and you are listening to Light Talk.
Coming to you from the Kennedy Center Theaters in our nation's capital, this is Dennis. And on this edition of Light Talk, we discuss multi-zone lighting, motion-activated lighting sprinkled with projections, dynamic lighting, perhaps with strobes, and are the old, less expensive lighting methods the best? All on Light Talk.
And this is David back with my brothers and sister.
Welcome back, David.
Yeah, it's good to be back. We're coming to you from the beautiful Belmont Shore neighborhood of Long Beach, California. And if you don't already know, you are listening to Light Talk, and we are the Lumen Brothers.
And Sister.
That's right, Ellen. Welcome, everyone, to episode 446. And as you know, I was missing in action last week because I had my annual allergy attack, which is like completely disables me. I just can't, I just like a total piece of toast laying on the couch. That's it. And I'm half buttered. That's the problem. I have half buttered toast.
When we had Stan covering last week, he seemed to think that maybe you had an altercation with Snoot.
No, Snoot and I are doing great. Matter of fact, I'm becoming more like Snoot. I mean, which is...
Oh, no.
I know. We thought we had to...
Tread lightly, Dennis.
It ain't going to happen, man. I'm on her side, man. We take no prisoners. We're taking no prisoners.
Does that mean you're going to wear a red wig to LDI?
No, I'm not. A wig on this pate? I think not. I do want to thank Stan. He filled in at the last second. And thank God that, he was there, and it was good to hear him again. His voice on the airwaves, as they say. His dulcet tones.
Now that we're into year 8, Stan's voice must be somewhere around Uranus by now, or Pluto.
Wait a minute.
Okay. I'm not even biting at that one. Okay, we have our sister here, for God's sake.
My mind is running wild.
Respect. We say that's some respect here. Okay, so today we have a very special pre-Halloween show, right? Halloween's going to happen in a couple of weeks. And everyone is they want advice on how to spoof up their houses and their residences and scare the hell out of those little shits that come to the door. So we're going to be talking a lot about that because we're all lighting and crazy. So we can how do we light the house? We got smoke, have strobes, music. Oh boy, we have a lot of great tips for people who are trying to figure out what to do with their damn house and light it and scare these kids,
What's your tip for favorite candy? What do kids in Long Beach expect when they knock on the Jacques household door?
Mostly edibles.
Like lettuce?
No, edibles. Edibles with cannabis in it. What are you talking
really?
about? Lettuce?
For 3-year-olds?
Absolutely.
David goes out to the back farm and picks out some carrots and some...
So you're giving out gummies?
Yeah, gummies, chocolates. They don't have to know.
What do you mean they don't have to know?
Well, they get in a half an hour, they're asleep. The parents love it. They have no idea. So, yeah.
How old are these kids?
Well, they're whole ages. The real problem is when you have the older ones coming because they're expecting edibles from the house, right? So I give them Mars bars and shit like that. I don't give them the good stuff. Only for children.
You're hilarious.
I don't know. What do you guys give the kids?
What's in St. Bart's? Is it like chocolate-covered octopus?
Octopus.
They don't really trick-or-treat house to house here.
Well, they have to climb up a mountain to get to your house.
Right.
You could start a tradition, Ellen.
No, they do a little parade in town, the kids, and they get all dressed up. And some local restaurants do little Halloween things, but the kids don't really go house to house.
We usually buy variety packs that you can buy in the stores, but I'm talking $40, $50 worth of crap, none of which are good for people. The reality is, for the last several years, having 2 young boys, we would take them out trick-or-treating to various places. So we'd leave literally pails of goodies at the front door so that people weren't disappointed when no one was home. And, they just grab a handful of whatever's there. But it's the usual assortment of candy that you'd find in your grocery store.
When I was having some difficulty financially, I would buy 17 pounds of sunflower seeds. and I'd put them in this big vat with a ladle. And when the kids come to the door, I'd go to the ladle and I go, I'd make believe it be like some sort of stew, like some sort of like nasty stew that I had made. And then I'd take it and I just dump it in their bags.
Wow. Well,
That's
when I was
funny.
a kid, you were the guy whose window I soaked.
That's right. TP. Yeah, I knew. I recognized you. Okay.
TP in your palm
TP
trees.
in my palm trees. I got palm trees
speaking
everywhere.
of Halloween lighting, one thing that they do here that's really beautiful is for All Saints Day, which is like the 1st of November, the cemeteries here are quite extraordinary. There's not just like headstones, but there's these like long, like flower beds in front of the headstones that are maybe 6 feet long and 3 feet wide, and they're full of flowers. A lot of soap flowers, plastic flowers, things that last a long time, and a lot of little LED things like little LED butterflies and stuff that sort of twinkle. And everybody goes and cleans up their family plots, as it were, for the 1st of November, and they put probably 100 candles on around the edge of all of them. So by the end of the evening, the cemetery is just glowing with thousands of little candles. It's quite beautiful.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's very, very beautiful.
Yeah, when I was growing up in Elmont, New York, which is in Long Island, across the street was a cemetery. And we would always go to my friend's backyard where you hop over the fence and you're actually in the cemetery and you're in the back. And we would like all hang out around the gravestones and tell ghost stories. And we, being from New York, we had a lot of fireflies, and the fireflies were all over the place in the
that's
cemetery.
nice.
So we had these incredible light shows every night of these little fireflies coming by, and kind of cool.
I remember them from growing up in Philadelphia.
All right, so let's get back, and why don't we get started? Because we have people who really want to get some valuable advice from us about how to decorate and light their house and everything else. So, Ellen, I think you have the first question.
I do. This Halloween, I'm going all out. My yard will be in 3 zones. 1, a spooky graveyard. 2, witches at a cauldron. And 3, an animatronic skeleton family out for a walk with the kids and the dog. The question is, would it be better to have one overall lighting look to connect and unify the 3 scenes, or 3 separate lighting looks? Guys?
Sounds like he's got a big yard.
Sounds like my neighbor.
I mean, my neighborhood, our lots are really small because we're in a beach neighborhood, so it's very valuable, these lots. So my lot literally is like 32 feet wide. It's like a shotgun house. So you can't put 3 zones in my yard, my front yard. We don't really have a yard. My yard is sort of like, 15 feet deep and 32 feet wide. That's basically
right, but like
my
when
yard.
I grew up, my parents' house sat on an acre of land, sort of half in the front, half in the back. And you could have easily put these 3 zones on the front lawn.
That's right. That's
With
right.
the big oak tree in the middle.
Right. So to answer the question, I don't know. It just depends on how it's laid out. I like the ideas. I like these animatronic skeletons and, taking the animatronic dog skeleton out. You see that a lot. I mean, Lori and I went up and down the streets the other night, and some people are going all out, even on these little plots of land that we have. And you see a lot of these little sort of like skeletons. And somebody actually went into the house because we have, a big thing about Belmont Shore, which is where we live, is we have, because it's so close to the sidewalks, which is only like 15 feet, you can actually look into the homes. So if you're going to buy a house where I live, you got to make sure that you are pretty decent in the house because people can actually see you from the street very easily. So a lot of people have taken advantage of that and have moved the Halloween decorations into the house. So instead of going wide, they go deep, which I think is actually kind of cool. It brings everything outside. So to answer the question, I would say go with 3 totally separate designs. If you're doing 3 separate things, go with 3 different,
Yeah, I think so
stations.
too. And I think you would want to use, sort of Halloween-y colors like a deep green, a deep purple, maybe an orange, and really then sort of like maybe some white light on those animatronics to get them to really pop out.
The accent light, as it were, to cut across the color.
Yep.
David, does red and green work for this?
Red and green, why not?
That's kind of Christmassy.
Well, no, David said red and green maestro.
I usually do the green and purple route.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, purple
interesting with
looks
the
cool.
skeletons. A house in our neighborhood, those huge skeletons, I assume is what you're talking about. They're like 16 feet tall. It's unbelievable. I don't know what the things cost, but one of our neighbors had at least 6 of these things. And then he had smaller skeletons all around, and he converted his whole front and side yard into one big scene that was a graveyard. And there was a fence all around it, and gravestones and skeletons that were coming out of the ground. And then this family, as you noted, a skeleton family that was walking across the yard. And it was pretty cool because these things are huge. And then he bought, you can get them on Amazon pretty cheaply. The reason I know this is I bought a half a dozen for our front yard. They're black lights, and they're only like $15, and they have a pretty good range and throw. Anyway, this guy bought about 20 or 25 of them. It was pretty incredible. And the whole front of his house and all these white skeletons and white gravestones were illuminated with black light. And visually, it was quite nice. Here's the problem. We've had quite a storm here yesterday and today. This morning, very early, 6 a.m., I had to go to the airport to fly to Washington. And I noticed that all of his big skeletons were laying on the sidewalks and on the cars that were parked on the street.
No.
That's a big thing. And then it's at least around in the Northeast, we live right on the Long Island Sound, and it gets really windy. A big discussion we always have on this show is safety.
That's right.
What town are you in, Dennis?
Port Washington,
Oh, okay.
right on the Manhasset Bay.
Yeah, nice out there.
This is a really good point that Dennis has brought up, because people don't think about this because they don't, they say, oh, I'm going to buy this thing for $30 that was made in China. And it's like 17 feet tall, and they just blow it up because usually they're very lightweight. They put them on the roof, and the next thing you know, 2 counties down, right? That happened to me once. I'll tell you. But I didn't think that was crazy. But my first year I lived here, because we're so close to literally 4 houses from the water. So we get a lot of wind coming from Catalina Island, from that area, right? And I have a balcony on the second floor, and I had a very nice umbrella, huge umbrella, about 12 feet high, because I have a little table up there. So, it was getting stormy. We were going to have one of our Pacific storms. And so I closed the umbrella, right? And I wrapped it around. And the next morning I went outside and it was gone. And I've never found it. I went around to the neighbors. I don't know. It could be anywhere. It could be in Mexico for all I know. But that's what happens. But if you put stuff on the roof, yeah, and it was on the base. I mean, it was on a heavy base. It just went right out of the base. It was like Dorothy or something like that. But that being said, yeah, if you put stuff on your roof or in the front yard, make sure you weight it down. And by all means, deflate it at the end of the night. And then just inflate it again the next day, because that stuff will go away. It will. I'll see it.
But how many people realize that they need to do that? The inflatables are a real easy thing to put up, and in the scheme of things, not that expensive. Years ago, I used to put up 8, 9, 10 of these things in the front of our house. They were all over the place, driving my wife crazy because she keeps complaining that they look cheap. But, that they come with a couple of tie lines and a couple of these cheap little stakes that you put in the grass. I end up going and buying, so sometimes I feel like I work in the carnival, tent stakes that you would use to actually put down camping tents. And that's what I put into the ground to tie these things to. And they usually give you 2 or 3 tying points on the inflatable. I have one in my front yard that's 16 feet tall. I have about 5 different tie points all around to keep the thing rigid. Especially, when I left this morning, that thing was blowing all over the place, but it's not going anywhere. And if the worst that could happen, it could just rip apart and just lay on the front grass dead.
There you go.
And yet another Halloween decision. It's a dead inflatable out there.
That's right. Why not? The spirit of Halloween. So, Dennis, you have a question, don't you?
Yes. I can't decide what is better this Halloween. A constantly lighted yard display to attract trick-or-treaters, or a motion-activated display to scare them as they walk down the sidewalk. Perhaps Halloween projections of some sort. the centerpiece of my display will be a new anchored station with 2 skeletons and a werewolf. I love that notion. And as I said, this neighbor of ours, he had these big, monstrous skeletons all over the place. It's unfortunate that there were a pile of bones this morning after they blew apart. But the big thing, if you're doing this sort of thing, it's important to light it. As I said, our neighbor used these black lights. I bought a couple of the black lights, and primarily because we have about 5 or 6 inflatables I put out in the yard, but I like to mix it up a little bit. So going back to what was said in the earlier question about having different areas or zones, I like kind of doing that. And but our house is it's a 100-year-old brick house that has I forget what they call the process where the white paint on the brick smudges away, so you see some red bricks, you have some white. It's an old colonial kind of thing. But I lit the whole front of the house with the black lights, and the white received the light, so the whole house is purple, which is kind of cool. But we have several trees in the front of our house. So what I did is we have about 25 or 30 skeletons, heads, the skull heads that are about half the size of a soccer ball. And we tied them up in the trees, and I put the black lights underneath them. And they're iridescent with the black lights on, and look kind of cool. But the point of fact is, with the centerpiece that this person has written in about with the skeletons and the werewolf, if you don't light it, it doesn't mean anything. The nice thing about the inflatables is they usually have lights inside of them, which are never quite bright enough. But I probably have about 10 little inexpensive LED light stakes that I put in the yard and light up the inflatables, light up the bushes. I have gravestones all over the front of the yard, so the front of my yard looks something like a cemetery. But I'm trying to keep it simple because several years ago, I did motion-activated things that the kids love. I also had things that made noise. My neighbor came over and said, "Dennis, really? Do you have to have that bullshit?" You have to be aware, like we just said in the earlier question, you have to be aware of the safety issue. You also have to be aware of how much you're annoying the hell out of your neighbors. And that's always a big thing. So over the years, I try and come up with things that are quiet that look good. At one of my favorites, I have 3 Lecos that I put gobos in and project them on the front and side of the house. The infamous Gam witch that we've all seen over the years, and that's projected on the front of the house with the witch flying in the air and a couple different pumpkin things. And, I'm using Lecos, so most people don't have access to that. But there are a lot of companies, and even at Home Depot and places that sell Halloween decorations, where you can buy projection devices. Behind the windows in our house, I have little projectors that spin little tiny ghosts on the back. Drop the window shade on the back so you're backlighting all these ghosts that are flying around. There's a lot of interesting things you can do, but I love using projections. So I would say 100% go with that. But if you don't light the elements that you put in your yard, and obviously my favorite is doing a lot of uplights, especially in colors. But then again, most people don't have access to gel. So I'll put purple and green and amber, orange all around the place. And, it looks kind of cool. The big problem, one of the things you said earlier, David, about turning them off at night, if you're doing all this and you turn it off, then nobody sees it. So
what time do you go to bed? 9 o'clock? What the hell?
It gets dark at 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Turn them off at 11, for God's sake.
Couldn't you put it on a timer so it goes off at midnight?
Yes, you can. Here's the problem with the inflatables, especially if it's windy and you have several of them. when they rise, once there's a motor with a fan in the bottom of these things, once they rise, they don't always rise properly. They get tangled, especially with as many tie lines as I put on. So I just bite the bullet and leave them on. 2 weeks ago, we set everything up and I fired everything on, and it stays on until after Halloween.
I say if you've got wind, you stay away from inflatables. Getting back again to what we were talking about a few minutes ago, it's just you're just asking for problems. You know,
the truth is coming out right now. Let's just roll the tape back a little bit. What did Dennis say? I have an inflatable in the yard, and my wife thinks it's tacky. Your wife is the most patient woman in the world. You and your 800 skeletons, your liquid light show, and things on the roof and 16-foot high skeletons and a screaming witch. I mean,
she is indeed. And this morning when I left the house for D.C., her last parting words were, if those things break in the windstorm while you're gone, they'll be in the garbage when you come back.
You're lucky you're not in the garbage when you come back.
Yeah. Dennis, I have a question. Are you powering the Lecos and the black lights with extension cords, or
yes,
do you have?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And I do have things like that on timers. The only reason I keep the inflatables up all the time, there's a couple of there's a nursery school halfway down the block from where we live, and there's a couple of grade schools. And years ago, when we moved to the neighborhood we're in, which was about 12 years ago, I noticed that the kids would go by and they'd talk to the big pumpkin and talk to the ghosts. And I'm not talking about trick or treat night. I'm talking about every day. And I thought, wow, this is pretty cool.
Well,
I'll leave them up for the kids.
That's the only people they talk to outside of their basement when they're talking to their AI girlfriends. So look a real an inflatable one. Who would think of an inflatable girlfriend right here? Isn't that
Wait
great?
a minute. Hold on.
Wait.
Light
So
talk
for the
after
guy
dark
who asked
again.
the question about the news anchor station, you're going to send them a light plot, right, about how you light a news anchor station.
Just like the debates.
It's Good Morning Halloween by Dennis Size.
Right. I wanted to say something, Dennis, because you were talking about having ghosts flying inside your house, and that is cool. You put the shades down, you project this, you backlight the shades with the ghosts or things like that. And I've seen that, and I think that's always cool. But I came up with a new idea. Instead of having bats flying, onto there, forget about it. Just bring some real bats into your house and have them fly around. I talked to Lori about this. She didn't like this idea. I thought it was a great idea. So, we still haven't decided that yet.
We don't have them here, but in our old house, we had bats. And they live in the gutters. And every evening around sunset, they would come out and they did a big lawn formation. Mm-hmm. They went outside, they flew around, they came back, they swooped through the pool, and they went back into the gutters. And the reason we kept them is that they eat mosquitoes.
That's right.
That's right.
We haven't had any move into the new house yet, but I wouldn't object.
Now, bats are great. My cats loved bats, too.
Yeah.
I mean, they would just, be fascinated by them.
Yeah, we occasionally found a dead baby bat being batted around by the cats, but...
that's sad, yeah.
I know.
Okay, the question I've got here is, how can I make my Halloween lighting more dynamic? I want to give my house and yard that haunted house look and feel. Is it safe to add a few strobes? Okay. So you're right up my alley, okay? This is right up my alley because I believe that Halloween is a time that it's okay and actually should be encouraged to annoy your neighbors, okay? So very much so. I think annoying neighbors is very, very important. And one way you could do that is with strobe lights. And this is where you need those motion sensor devices. Okay, first of all, I'll tell you what I do. I have a big Hammond organ in my living room. I have Hammond organs in 3 places in my house. But I have one in my living room. I crank up the reverb and I dress up like Quasimodo. And I'm playing the Hammond organ, really super, super loud. It goes all the way down the street. It's so loud. I got 2 giant Leslie cabinets, and I crank up that reverb, and it sounds like Phantom of the Opera. So kids are kind of scared to begin with because they hear this music. Then I have this strobe come on because it automatically trips when they open up the gate to get into my yard, and strobe lighting everywhere. I also have smoke and haze, which is fantastic. So they come into this haze and all this smoke and on all this strobe light, and I open up the door. Yes, can I help you? Right? And then I pull out the vat and I give them a ladle of seeds and then they go away. But what's really cool is that sometimes an automobile will drive by and that will set off the strobes. And sometimes you never know that automobile may just crash into another car, which is fantastic because then you have entertainment right in front of your house. That's the sort of thing I love.
You could be a little more subtle. I mean, as I said, my neighbor complained to me years ago because I used to do the strobe thing as well. But I ended up buying this little tiny medium screw-based strobes that you can get at the Halloween store at Home Depot at the section. And you just screw them in. And I did a kind of a string of strobes that I put in the trees so that they're like flashing, much like you were saying with the fireflies, except brighter. And that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
but,
that's nice. Tasteful.
No, I would rent you remember those lightning strike strobe lights that they had? I would rent 3 of those, right? Put them in my front yard, and that pretty much did it,
Or just an arc welder.
They couldn't land planes over my house during Halloween because the strobe lights would be going off in these crazy times. It was nuts. Smoke. That's a good thing to do with those old Roscoe foggers that were really bad for you. We had a bunch of those at school, but we couldn't use them anymore because they were causing cancer and things like that. So I'd put those in the front yard too. And
you know what I used to do? Do you remember the old Great American Market flicker generator?
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
I had gotten a couple of those from the soap operas years ago, and I used to put some of the lights outside in those, so I'd have them flickering and flashing almost like a strobe. But again, my neighbors complained, so...
they got to get with it. Your neighbors, you got really hung up neighbors. They're too uptight. Relax. It's only one night out of the year, for God's sake.
Yes,
let the kids have some fun.
It's not fun. It's not one night a year with Dennis. How long has your display been up?
2 weeks now.
2 weeks.
I am not the first in our neighborhood.
And we got 2 more weeks to go.
That's right. Well,
do you take down Halloween and put up Christmas at the same time?
No, we usually wait for Christmas for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
I put 3 Santa hats on for the next day after Halloween. We get through Day of the Dead, then we throw up 3 Santa hats before we take them down.
Christmas is a big thing in our town. It's quite an event. Days and days and days of decorating at my house at Christmas.
Well, I can imagine. Do your boys still live at home? How old are your boys?
The youngest just turned 12. And the middle guy is 15.
So they are at home. So half of this is for them.
Oh, yeah. And this year, I suspect there'll be no trick-or-treating on their part. Last year, the older one said, that's for kids. And I think, frankly, if they do go out, it's going to be the older one will be going out because other 15-year-old girls are going to be going out. You are listening to Light Talk. Today, Light Talk is bringing you Tales from Texas.
That's right. It's time for Tales from Texas. Today's story is our Halloween trick-or-treat. Dracula, House of Mirrors. The Waco Arts Center stood like a scar on the edge of the city's trendy new urban arts district. Sleek, modern, multi-use. But it was built over bones. Halloween was a week away. Rehearsals were in full swing for Dracula, House of Mirrors, an immersive horror play by a reclusive local playwright. Audience members would wander from room to room as scenes unfolded. Part theater, part haunted mansion, drenched in fog, blood, and dread. No one likes to mention the building's past, how it used to be a funeral home, or how 3 actors disappeared mid-run during the show, left behind scattered costume pieces and cryptic notes about whispers in the rafters. No one talks about that either. For this production, the lead actor was Cooper, a rising local star playing Lucian, a seductive vampire king with a wicked smile and velvet voice. But rehearsals were wrong. Lights flickered even when the board was off. The fog machine hissed on by itself, spraying a cold mist through the building. Costumes vanished only to reappear ripped, or soaked with something dark and sticky. Cooper's Doberman, Salem, stood growling at invisible things in the green room mirror until one day he stopped growling and just started shaking. Everyone said it was tech, opening night fever, stage fright. Until the final dress rehearsal. Director Matta had called for a full preview. Lights, projections, live audience of donors and interns to live stream behind-the-scenes content. It began like any other run, but something shifted. Cooper in full costume, eyes lined in shadow, fangs glinting, posted a selfie with the caption, "Ready to feed." It vanished 5 minutes later. When an intern tried to repost it, her phone died, then rebooted, camera on. Just for a second, she saw a tall, flickering shape behind her, antlered, faceless, wrong. She turned around, nothing. On stage, Cooper changed. His voice deepened, slurred by some language no one recognized. His pupils widened, swallowing the color of his eyes. His body moved like it wasn't his. Matta whispered into the God mic, "Cooper, cut out the creepiness. You're freaking me out." But he didn't stop. He stepped off the stage into the audience, smiling. The house lights dimmed on. They bled red. Fog surged across the floor like something hungry. The mirrors, central to the set design, began to crack, one by one, as if they were screaming. Salem started barking, wild, frantic, then whimpering, then bolted. The leash left behind snapped. Then every phone in the theater buzzed at once. A live stream had gone live, unscheduled, across every social platform the theater used. The caption? "At Dracula, House of Mirrors Live. The curtain has lifted. You're next." When emergency responders arrived, the theater was silent, empty. No cast, no crew, no audience, just broken mirrors and Salem's leash, centered perfectly under a spotlight, coated in something dark and sticky. The next day, the Waco Arts Center closed for renovations. It never reopened, but every year on Halloween at 9:13 p.m., the live stream at Dracula House of Mirrors Live reactivates for exactly 72 seconds. No one can trace the IP, no one can shut it down, and if you watch until the end, they say you'll see your reflection in the dark screen. But it won't be you. Not anymore. Smile. You're part of the cast now. Happy Halloween. That's tales from Texas, some of which might be true.
And now, back to Light Talk.
That scared the shit out of me.
I have to applaud. Steve, I have to ask, I've been part of the family now for many months, and I marvel at your creative writing talents. And as an avid listener for years, it was like Light Talk had their own personal Don Draper doing commercial advertising. Have you ever written a play?
No, but I did for a while think about getting my PhD. And I mean, people who really have a PhD now are going to cringe. But I was actually accepted into the NYU program years ago, and I didn't pursue it. Sometimes I wish I had. But no, I just sat around, go to Starbucks, have a cup of coffee, crank out a few sponsors, run and buy my wife and my daughter.
I agree. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
It's a shame that people don't write anymore. That
it is a shame.
They're not being trained to write.
They're not being trained to read.
They're not being trained to read, write. AI is going to destroy the whole writing creativity and a lot of other
we talk
things.
about that with the training of young designers. I mean, I think writing is important. Communication is important. And, if everything's a text message, I mean, there's a place for that. But sometimes you have to go beyond the text message and sit down and have a real conversation with someone.
Yeah, a real person, not an AI person.
I think people used to enjoy doing that. There are other things, After dinner, have a conversation with Granddad. What can I say?
Nobody wants to talk to me. Let me tell you. You don't want to talk to me. Well, okay, so we have one more question today, and Zach was supposed to be with us, but he's not today, unfortunately. He's in rehearsal. He's actually working for a living. Not that we work, really, but that's a whole other story. Who wants to take this one?
I'll do it. All right. I was in Home Depot today looking at Halloween decorations. Flashing lights, sound effects, fog machines, 10-foot-high goblins. It looked like a cross between a stripper club and a cosplay event. And don't get me started about cost. What can I do to capture the spirit of Halloween and not break the bank? I got 2 words for you. Rabid raccoons. They're nature's little chaos goblins. Imagine the scene in your yard. 2 raccoons find a donut in a dumpster, declaring it the sacred donut. Other raccoons gather around them on Halloween night. They circle the donut and they chant, "Donut, donut, sweet and strange, why do you smell of rot and mange? Donut, donut, crushed and wide, what's the tasty treat inside?" A whisper rose from the ragged bun, "Beware, raccoons, my custard overrun. Brothers, have some rum. Halloween has come. Halloween has come." You can do it with squirrels and rabbits too. But in Texas, possums. Possums are pretty good because they'll hiss at you. But you train the wildlife, man.
Yeah, use the wildlife. Use your rats in your backyard. Use your possums.
I have another suggestion. There's a man here in St. Bart's who probably has 400 to 500 illuminated Christmas displays on his house, from Santa and reindeer on the roof to a million Christmas trees to anything and everything that's holiday related. And it's like a show, and people line the sidewalk across the street from his house to watch it. And he goes on Amazon and other such sites in January each year and buys up everything that's been reduced to $1.99 or $19.99. And he's got it waiting for him to add for the next year. So this person could, not for this year, but wait until everything goes on sale and it's all reduced, grab it up, and then next year call Dennis for the plot for how you do it.
I like that.
My suggestion, you want to save money, 2 words. Sesame seeds.
Yeah, but that's for the kids, not for the yard.
Oh yeah, but have you priced out candy lately?
I know they saying that this year it's very expensive.
I mean, at least give them sunflower seeds.
Well, Snoot could bake chocolate chip cookies.
Oh my God, she came up with a whole new recipe last week. It blew me away. Oh. I mean, it's the best chocolate chip cookies I've ever had in my life. Yeah, and I'll have her send you the recipe. It's just amazing.
Better yet, have her bring a couple dozen to LDI.
To LDI. Well, we could do that too.
It sounds like it's time for a plug for LDI.
I think it is. And I've got a little gift for everybody. If you still need a free Expo Hall pass for LDI, go to ldishow.com and use promo code LIGHTTALK, all one word, and get a free Expo Hall pass.
Wow. Now, if you have an Expo Hall badge, can you still go and see Light Talk?
Everything in the podcast studio is available to all attendees. Yeah.
There you go. So to all our listeners, if you just want to check everything out, which is great because the whole showroom floor is amazing, and you want to see Light Talk, just come. You get some swag. And we aren't going to talk about swag. It's getting late, guys. We need to talk about swag.
Yeah.
So,
seeds and baggies. Seeds and baggies.
Seeds,
baggies
we got
with
seeds.
Edibles.
I got the seeds.
Edibles.
I'm bringing all the unused edibles and the seeds with me, okay? So we can serve that. But we need something with Light Talk on it. So
some
we
class.
need to do this. Yeah, we got some blue balls. We're going to bring the blue balls back.
They were great.
Last year,
awesome.
Ken Billington, I think he palmed a blue ball.
He did.
He was back there staring at them. Then he picked them up and looked at them. And then I think he was ashamed to take one. Then I think he slipped one in his pocket.
He did, because when he drives his car into his garage, he needs something hanging from the ceiling of his garage so that when it hits the windshield of his car, he knows his car's in all the way. He's got this huge car. You know, it's like this giant car for New York City.
My mother did that, but it was a tennis ball.
Yeah, the tennis balls, but this is an LDI ball. I mean, it's a Light Talk ball, and it's a blue ball. So you can't beat that. So we have plenty
They
of
were
blue
very
balls for
pretty.
people. Yeah, very pretty. And we still have some shot glasses, but we need to, come up with something. So,
What's the budget?
well, it depends
Unlimited.
how much no, we all chip in. You know what we could do? We could do like Light Talk After Dark smoking jackets. Now, that
Oh.
would be awesome.
Yeah, how many of those can you make for $100 a person? 0.
Or light talk inflatable dolls that you were talking about before.
Inflatable dolls. Dennis,
It's
So
just
you're
getting
talking
more and
about
more.
buying blue balls.
How many balls did you make last year? Do you know?
we made several dozen. We have enough blue balls for everybody. Okay, so we got blue balls. All right, well, let's get out of here because I have to go and find some blue balls. Well, the rocking sounds of the Luminoids tell us that once again you've spent another morning listening to this crazy show called Light Talk. You can hear our show on just about every podcast site out there. Be sure to check out our website at lighttalk.org and be sure to follow us on Facebook. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. That way you will not miss a second of Light Talk insanity.
No guarantee is offered regarding the accuracy of any statements or opinions made on this podcast. However,
If you do decide to litigate, you will have to deal with me, Snoot from the Snoot Group. And don't get it twisted. Just because I married one of these losers does not mean I will go easy on you. So don't with me.
Thank you, Snoot. I can't wait to taste your cookie. Light Talk is written and produced by the Lumen Brothers.
And sister.
Coming to you this week from Long Beach, the Lone Star State, St. Bart's, and Washington, D.C.
And be sure to join us next week when we talk about more lighting shenanigans and serve you more of our casserole of nonsense.
Light Talk, broadcasting questionable lumen knowledge and humor around the world.
So next week we have a special guest, Justin Townsend. So make sure you tune in next week to spread the word. It should be a fun show. So we'll see you all next Saturday morning. Bye-bye from Light Talk.
Bye-bye.
Bye.